I know most of you don't remember me, but I know all of you. Even though I was stuck light years away on Earth, I never stopped trying to get back home.
Everything changed since you left.
It's all gone. Skeletor took my family. And he destroyed our world.
It's all my fault. I know how it feels to fail. Take the sword. And when you fall, that's your chance to stand tall.
This is my home. I'm gonna fight for it. But I can't do it without you.
Somebody wants to brawl.
I need every man, woman, or whatever that is.
You may have the power, but you're too scared to use it.
Trust me, I know how to use it.
You tell everyone that you're from another planet. It just makes you sound a little very crazy.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Masters of the Universe released another big trailer. There's a bunch of new footage, Easter eggs, references to the classic series, the classic toy lines, so we will break it all down. You could definitely tell they're trying to make this movie as toyetic as possible, sell as many new toys as possible, and it will probably work. It would be weird if they made a movie based on a toy property that also had a bunch of TV shows and movies before this and did not sell special toys for it. We also found out about some of the secret cameos in the movie. Dolph Lundgren is supposed to have a cameo. He hinted that he might last year. Now we know a little more about where he actually shows up in the movie, and it is supposed to be a reference to his appearance during the original Masters of the Universe live-action movie back in the 80s. But probably one of the even bigger things most people are talking about after this trailer is we finally actually get some voiceover from Jared Leto as his version of Skeletor, and it kind of seems like they're trying to make it as close to Alan Oppenheimer's original performance as Skeletor as possible, which is like a deeper register. Like that's the accent that he's going for. You also probably heard a little bit of his cackle, his laugh earlier in the trailer too, and it does sound like he is trying to make the laugh as close to Alan Oppenheimer's classic Skeletor cackle as possible. It is going to take a little bit of getting used to, and you definitely can't recognize that it's Jared Leto if you didn't know it was him going into the movie, so there's a lot of people wondering if casual fans will actually know that Jared Leto is in this movie if they don't put him like very prominently on the poster. And if it does well enough to justify sequels, there's a lot of lore, a lot of other big villains. Hordak, primarily, can be the big villain of the second film, and you can just push Skeletor to the background too, so you don't even need to worry about Jared Leto long-term that much. Do not worry, Jared Leto Skeletor cannot hurt you. But there is a lot of new footage. We get looks at a couple of the other big characters, so we'll just start at the beginning of the trailer footage and working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, and the big references. Most of the trailer is cut in a non-linear way, but you can kind of chart the progression of the movie based on whether or not he has the power. They animate the beginning of the trailer in this funny way where they sort of open the doors on the trailer themselves as they're carting him into the actual cell. When they throw him in the cell, we see him with a bunch of other characters too, and a couple looks at some of the ones that we saw in the background in previous trailers. Teela, Man-at-Arms, obviously. We see a better look at Ram Man, Mechanic very clearly. There's another female character and a bunch of like regular Eternians behind them too, just like regular people it seems like they've locked up. We get a much better shot of Fisto, and some people think that this person behind him is Decker. It might be, or it might just be a regular Eternian. We get a brief shot of Teela outside. Notice she's also got her tiara on. You couldn't really see it in the earlier shots. It kind of seems like they've toned down her tiara. We also see that they've thrown Cringer in that same prison that everybody is stuck in. One of the few things we haven't seen so far is whether or not Cringer is going to speak in the movie and who his voice actor would be. Probably the next big Easter egg, they actually listened to all of our feedback after the first trailer and they swapped the regular MGM logo for Cringer inside the logo. That was actually a fan idea after the first trailer came out. Fans made this, so they just baked it into the second trailer. Like, why don't we just do what fans want? We get a longer scene of him in his bedroom with his Eternia box here. The label on it, his childhood drawings and the power sword, his family, everything else are meant to be his drawings that he made after his mother and the sorceress sent him to Earth as a child. One of the other details we spotted in the previous trailer too is that the drawings in the background around the walls of his bedroom are based on original Alan Taylor artwork too. Some of these are obviously meant to be the drawings of a child, like when he drew as a child, but some of them are drawings that he did more recently as an adult, and those are the Alan Taylor artwork. King Randor, Queen Marlena, and Tiny Baby Cringer, so maybe we'll see flashbacks of Tiny Baby Cringer too. There are a couple other flashback scenes of him as a child training before Skeletor's attack, so I'm assuming we'll see young Cringer too during those flashback scenes. This is meant to be Teela in the Talon Fighter after she's picked him up on Earth and brought him through the portal back to Eternia, back to Eternos here. You can actually see the ruins of it here in present day.
Everything changed since you left.
When she says everything changed, that's meant to be right after Skeletor's attack. Basically, everybody goes to ground in its wanted season on Eternians, and they just hide out over the course of 20 years. There's a resistance that builds up. I think they'll all detail this stuff during the prequel comic books they released this summer. Basically, things on Eternia have been total crap since that attack. We get a better look at a couple of Skeletor's minions when his mother is running him into Castle Grayskull to the sorcerers. You notice Spycore behind them here and Beastman over on the left, like really tiny in the background too. We get our first shot of King Randor. James Purefoy is playing him. Skeletor arrives in his collector ship. They are selling this as merch. I do think you can actually buy this. There is some movie tie-in merch, like figures that are based on the movie versions of the figures. It's not totally clear when this is happening in the timeline, but this Roton is attacking someone. Because the heads are on all the statues of the previous kings of Eternia here, I'm assuming this might be in the flashbacks. This just might be from Skeletor's attack in the flashbacks while things go down, because we see both this happening during the day and then scenes of it happening at night too. So it just seems like the battle rages across an entire day. Totally love the way they framed this shot of Alison Brie as Evelyn walking with the backdrop of the tower on fire behind her. This is also from those flashbacks because it's also part of a larger scene of Skeletor and his other minions, and it seems like they're trying to enter Castle Grayskull. They're trying to chase Adam down before they can send him to Earth. The entire reason why she doesn't seem like she ages over the course of 20 years, like she looks the same as she does during the flashbacks, is because of magic. This is another shot of him being reunited with his mother in those same prison cells. The entire reason why his mother sent him to Earth in the first place is because she is from Earth. She was originally an astronaut that just went through a wormhole and was sucked to Eternia. If you have not watched the original animated series, there was an entire episode dedicated to that. She gets sucked to Eternia and then just winds up marrying King Randor, and they have Adam and his sister, She-Ra. We will see if there are any references to his sister during this movie or a post-credit scene, but she's just like the next logical place where you would take that sequel. Like, he finds the power, becomes He-Man in the first movie for the first time, goes back to Eternia, but then learns about the larger threat of Hordak, who is much worse than Skeletor and behind Skeletor, and how his sister is connected to that. Like, part of the idea is he saves Eternia during the first movie, and the next movie is him saving his sister. We get a longer scene of Idris Elba's Man-at-Arms giving Adam the pep talk to take the power sword and call the power, becoming He-Man, and it is inside Castle Grayskull, inside that altar there. My assumption is that the sorceress just put it there after she sent it to Earth 20 plus years ago. We get a much better scene of his fight scene against Trapjaw when he's actually calling the power itself, and the way they animate this. Like, this is actually a pretty big deal. Like, they make a big deal about it during this trailer, where you notice he floats up in the air as they call the power, but also if you slow the trailer footage down, you can actually see his clothes transform into the He-Man clothes. We get a little bit of his flashback training with probably a younger version of Man-at-Arms in the yard here at Eternia, like a little kid just learning how to fight. Notice he has a tiny little sword with him here. We get a little scene of their band after he's called the power traveling to Snake Mountain, but this cave here might be a reference to Subternia. We'll see if they have any Subternia Easter eggs during the movie. Maybe they might just say that for like a second movie. Once they arrive at Snake Mountain, you notice they're in the dark hemisphere. That's why there's all this lava around them. Robot is with them too, voiced by Kirsten Wiig. We haven't heard her voice as Robot during the movie. There are a lot of people that are also wondering, because we have Snake Mountain here, if there are going to be any Easter eggs or references to the Snake Men, King Hiss, or Serpos. The actual canon is that Snake Mountain is actually the frozen snake god Serpos that the Snake Men worshipped, that they then started using as a base after the elders, like ancient Eternians, froze Serpos. The entire reason why there's only one head is just because the two other frozen heads just broke over the thousands of years. My assumption is because the movie isn't going to be like 6 hours long, is they'll probably save a whole lot of Snake Men, King Hiss stuff for future movies if they do future movies. When he's fighting all of Skeletor's guards in Snake Mountain, we get a better look at Triclops. We get one of our first voiceover lines from Jared Leto as Skeletor saying, "The universe will quake in my shadow." That's because he's trying to take the power of the universe, essentially. There are a couple different shots they cut together too, with him in present day, it seems like, and then him in the past walking to try and get into Grayskull. This is Goatman and Evil Lynn standing next to him here. This is meant to be the sorceress in her bird form. Weirdly, we don't see that many shots, or really any shots, of Morena Baccarin in actual sorceress form, though. There is a little bit of tie-in merch, though, that actually depicts her in her white costume, so like we do know what she looks like in the movie. We get another new chase scene of him in the woods on a sky sled with the Rotons chasing him. They make a little joke about him not knowing who this lizard person is behind them too when he's giving that little pep talk to everybody. Some people think that it might be Lizard Man, some people think that it might be Clawful. I think it's more likely that it would be Clawful. We get an action scene from Cringer, who is not yet in Battle Cap form because Adam hasn't called the power yet, but he is riding him already. Not totally sure what's happening in this Talon fighter with Teela at the falls, but they might be the Magic Falls. There are also people wondering if Orko is going to show up in the movie. Maybe there's just like some references to him in the background if they don't put Orko in this first movie. There are a lot of people that forget that Orko wasn't part of the original canon. They introduced him on the TV show and then started including him in the toy line. But it would be weird if at some point they don't eventually introduce a version of Orko. Like, there are a lot of weird things happening in this trailer. Maybe they're just trying to ease casual fans into it. Like, we'll just give them the weird stuff slow drip of weird stuff. And we get the much longer voiceover scene of Jared Leto as Skeletor, where he tells Adam, "You may have the power, but you're too scared to actually use it," which is meant to be based on a lot of classic insults that Skeletor would give to He-Man.
"It's the sorceress, you boob. They should call you Wimplash. Fight, or I'll turn you into a suitcase."
During their fight scene, we also get a much better look at him using the Havoc staff too. You also notice their fight scene happens in front of the altar where he took the powered sword from inside Castle Grayskull. So Skeletor has made it inside Castle Grayskull. I'm assuming this is happening at the very end of the movie. Then, of course, the trailer has its own little post-credit scene, and it starts with another scene of him on Earth at the beginning of the movie with one of his human friends who's just credited as Hussein online. No last name, so I don't know if he's going to have any kind of references to any past iterations of the live-action movie or any other characters from the past, just in general. My assumption with all the Earth-based scenes is it's mostly just a reference to the classic live-action Masters of the Universe movie. Like, there's no reason why, legitimately, they would have to do any scenes on Earth. The entire reason why the original Dolph Lundgren live-action movie was on Earth so much was purely for budgetary reasons. While he's talking to his friends, they also cut it with that other scene from later in the movie with him catching the Roton with his bare hands after he's called the power. We actually still have a couple months before the movie comes out, so my hope is that the next trailer they release will have more characters that they include in the movie, but I'm sure just because the movie isn't going to be like 5 hours long, some of them will just be like pure cameos, background roles, but they are trying to do as much of the classic characters as possible. We got a lot of new footage, so if you did spot any Easter eggs or references in the trailer, any new characters that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. Once we get a little closer to the movie coming out, they'll start releasing more footage, so as they do, I will do more videos, or if you have special requests or specific questions you have that you want me to include in bonus videos, let me know in the comments below too. I've already done a bunch of videos about the previous trailers and teasers they've released. Click here and here for both of those. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.